So, what do you call it when Benedict Arnold calls up the English and says, "Hey, if George Washington's going to move on you, I'm going to give you a call. All right, don't worry about it. I got your back." Hello, and welcome to Sweet Home California. My name is Jennifer. And apparently, that's what General Milley did. He pulled a Benedict Arnold with China. Yeah, so let's find out what he did. Hold on just a moment here. I'll get to that.
He placed a secret call to his Chinese counterpart, assuring him the U.S. had no intention of striking. "If we're going to attack, I'm going to call you ahead of time," the author's quote Milley is saying. He made a second call to China after the storming of the Capitol, saying, "We are 100% steady. Everything's fine." After the Capitol riot, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi called Milley, asking what safeguards were in place to prevent Trump from starting a nuclear war. A transcript of the phone call obtained by Woodward and Costa quotes her as saying, "He's crazy." According to the transcript, Milley replied, "I agree with you on everything." The book, titled Peril, says Milley told nuclear control officers they had to check with him first, no matter what orders they received from the president.
No matter what orders they receive from the president. So, what is it called when you have a form of government where the civilians are supposed to be in charge? They're elected, they're supposed to be, the ones calling the shots, but the military kind of takes over and is actually ruling things. What is that called? Um, Put your thoughts down in the comments below. Let me know what you think. I do need to let you know, though, I am having to moderate comments now because a friend of mine recently had her entire channel removed, and we want to make sure that we're able to stay on and be a platform, a channel that can provide you with tidbits of information like this. So, however, even the moderated comments, I will be posting screenshots of those on my locals account. So that'll kind of give you a little more interaction with locals, because locals is free to join and to watch my content. I don't have anything behind a paywall on my locals account, but they do require a paid subscription to leave comments and to normally view comments that are left on locals. So that'll allow you to have some sort of interaction, and hopefully more people will go and follow me over there on locals, because I really can't post everything on locals right now because I have so few subscribers and I have no paid subscribers that I'm limited the number of videos that I can post on there, because it's a new platform, and server space does cost money. So they limit me to about 10 gigabytes worth of video per month, and I can reach that pretty quickly with the amount of videos I've been putting out lately. So if you do have it in your budget to support me over there, that would just help me be able to grow that channel faster. I'd really appreciate it, but no worries. You can also interact and post on my Rumble videos. However, Rumble isn't as a mature a platform yet, and so it's a little bit more difficult for me to see all the comments. I don't have it all on one screen where I can respond to people. So bear with me in responding to comments on Rumble, though you can also find me over there. So anyhow, back to what this thing is called. Put it in the comments and be civil, okay? So we can stay here on YouTube. But what should happen to a general that does that thing? Let me see what KT McFarland has to say on that. Hold on just a sec.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to be court-martialed. First of all, he should resign or be fired over the Afghanistan fiasco. But if he's really talking to America's #1 enemy, the Chinese, about our military or potential military actions, or telling them about what the President of the United States is doing, implying the President of the United States is nuts, then I think he needs to be court-martialed. And there will be recordings of this conversation. There will be notes taken. There will be plenty of people who can testify as to what really went on.
Let's hope that happens soon. As of right now, we are still with a Democrat-controlled House, and they kind of determine what gets investigated. But they are doing hearings on Afghanistan, So maybe they'll do investigations on this as well. KT McFarland also went on to say that, this is politics for Milley. He basically wants to make sure he keeps his job. So he is the one, supposedly, who leaked this to the book's authors, Woodward of Woodward fame from the Watergate tapes. He's still around. So anyhow, presumably Milley is the one who leaked this, and probably to curry favor with the Biden administration, to say, "See, I wasn't with Trump. See, I'm the last stand, for making sure that he didn't do something crazy. Keep me on." But honestly, what president would want to keep somebody that would go behind their back like that? Of course, Biden, I don't know how with it he is and whether he's really calling the shots or not. Anyhow, so who knows what's going through his mind. But I think that there definitely should be investigations, and there should be major repercussions for General Milley on that, because that is definitely breaking the chain of command. That is definitely pulling a Benedict Arnold, and yeah, it needs to go. So anyhow, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate all the new subscribers that I've been getting. Comment below; it helps spread the word about my my videos. Also, if you think that my videos are worth sharing, like it, share it, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when I am posting new videos. Just to ramble on a little bit more, I'm done with Milley, but if you want to stick around a little bit more, find out what's going on for the rest of the day, stay tuned here. I just finished with the polls yesterday. I did a report on that last night that you can listen to. I am going to be going to see actual counting, because at my level we didn't open up the provisional ballots. We don't take care of that. We didn't open up any of the mail-in ballots that were dropped off. The only thing that I saw were the in-person ballots, and a person did an in-person ballot by surrendering their mail-in. So we didn't have a lot of those, because if they didn't bring in their original mail-in ballot, then we had to give them a provisional. And a lot of people just didn't realize that that's what they were supposed to do, that if they got a mail-in ballot, and everybody did, that they had to bring it in. Now, there were some people who said that they didn't receive their mail-in ballot. And so, of course, that had to be provisional, because if they didn't receive it, we didn't have one to turn in. So they had to do a provisional. So the only way that it was a in-person voting scenario where they dropped just the ballot into the ballot box was if they surrendered their mail-in ballot. We destroyed it. We wrote void all over it. And then we gave them a blank ballot. They voted it, and then they brought it back in and put just the ballot into the box. So those few votes were the only ones that I could actually see. And I can tell you, in my little town, which admittedly is much more conservative than what I'm told the rest of California is, we had 22 votes, 22 ballots cast. Of the 22 ballots that were cast, only one said no on the recall. The other 21 ballots all said yes. And of the 21 ballots that said yes, 17 of them were for Larry Elder. Okay? Now, you can't extrapolate that to the rest of the county. You can't extrapolate that to the rest of the state, because we are a conservative town in a conservative county. So, anyhow. I do want to show you one other thing, though. So I told you last night that we were at... Let me show you here. So last night I reported that 38.3% of the state supposedly had been counted. So I wanted to see where we stood this morning. And as of this morning, as of 2:55 a.m., we only went up about 3%. We went from 38 point something to 41.6. So apparently they stopped counting at about 2:55, called it quits, so no significant changes on that. And I went and checked on how the individual counties are doing, and Kern we're down here at the bottom here of my highlight. Um, it says 100% partially reporting. So that means they've acknowledged that my little town got received, but that just means that, we put something in. It doesn't mean that all our vote has been counted. There are 437,000 registered voters in Kern, and the ballots cast so far, it's only been 89,000 something, which is a turnout of about 20%. So I expect that to be a lot higher. And another thing to point out is that they tell you up here that there are 37 days left until the vote is certified on October 22nd. These are unofficial election results, okay? Larry Elder, even though last night it definitely seemed like a concession to me. I had reported last night that it sounded at the beginning of his speech that he said, looks like the battle has been lost, but we'll still win the war. Later on in that same speech, as I listened to the whole thing after I did the video, he said, we did lose the battle. He said, yeah, we lost. I looked into what a concession speeches do to the election process, and it doesn't stop it. A concession speech is not legally binding. So a candidate can just outright say, yeah, I lost, you won, but the counting is legally required to continue. And when the results are in, if it turns out that the person who conceded is actually the winner, the concession is not legally binding. The person who won is the person who won. The person who's certified is the person who won. So just keep praying, okay? It's still possible. And if you have had any problems where you went, you need to report it, okay? I know I've gotten a lot of comments, people saying, there isn't any point. Why are we doing this? It's all, rigged. It's all rigged. But you're not going to make anything better by not reporting it, by not making noise. The whole thing about the squeaky wheel gets the grease, well, that's a true statement. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And report it to the local reporters, report it to Project Veritas. The local reporters, the KTLA is what broke the story that I put out on Sunday, where the Republican said that her, when she went to vote early, that the computer said her vote had already been cast. It was a local news report, okay? So that's how the national news finally starts paying attention, is when enough noise is happening at the local level. So don't think necessarily that you call the top and you're going to get you're going to get a response. Start local and build it, share it with channels like mine. We help to amplify it, and then other people pick it up, and especially Project Veritas. If you can get their attention, then you'll be sure to get millions of views, and then the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and the Antifa teacher will get fired. Okay, don't know what happens to the Antifa teacher after that, but at least in Sacramento, the fascist teacher, under the guise of anti-fascist, is fired. So please don't give up hope. Keep praying. It is not over. I am going to go and see how Kern County tabulates the votes and handles those provisional. Lost my word for a second there. So yeah, I also want to show you this real quick, if I can find it on my phone. Just a second. So the provisional ballot and the ballot itself has receipt stubs on it, okay? So let me show this to you. All right, so here's the provisional ballot. It gets all filled out and everything. You're signing it. That signature is also supposed to be checked before they open it, to make sure that it's the right person. You do not have to put your party affiliation on there. And in my precinct, they did not tell the poll workers. We had no idea what party affiliation anyone was. And I love that. That was a great idea. When I was in Maryland, the poll workers knew. I could go up to a poll worker and say, hey, what's the turnout been like? And they'll say, oh yeah, we've had, about 60% Republican, 40% Democrat. because the area I lived in, Maryland, was also primarily Republican. So yeah, we think, this is going to pass or whatever. Um, well, at my poll in Kern County, they don't reveal who's Democrat, who's Republican. So, that helps secure your vote as well. All right, so that's the front side here. And then right here, this is the voter receipt. Okay, so on that envelope, we gave out this voter receipt so you can track whether or not your provisional ballot was used, which means that they verified that your mail in ballot was not used. So if your provisional didn't count, there should be a reason. It will tell you why it wasn't accepted. And then you can contest it. Don't just let it go. Report it to your county, report it to the news, but you have to keep track of that ballot, otherwise you have no idea. Also, on the ballot that you received, so this is what it looked like for the official ballot. It looks exactly the same as what you got in the mail-in. This is the Kern County. Each ballot, by the way, looked different depending on the county. So if your ballot didn't look like this, that's okay. Each county's ballot was different, even though it had the same information on it. But whether it was mail-in or whether you did it at the precinct, there was a stub along the top here that you should have detached again, so you can verify that your vote was counted. So check it. It may take a day or two, because right now, as I said, they're still counting. We've only got 20% of registered voters having been counted in Kern County, and they're claiming that for the state we're still only at 41%. So there's still a lot out there. So, but back to watching the vote and everything and not giving up. There are so many people who are saying, what's the point? Just move out. You deserve what you get. Well, it's a beautiful state. It's nice here. I really like my particular neighbors, and if we all up and left, then basically we're just ceding this beautiful state to the loonies. And before the pandemic, we were the fifth largest economy in the world. Why would we give that up? No, we've got to fight for it. It's worth fighting for. But people have to be involved. So I'm going to go check out Bakersfield, Kern County seat. That's where they're doing all the opening up of provisionals and opening up of the mail-in ballots, signature verification, and all of that. LA for Los Angeles County is about 2 hours away from me. I just don't have time to do that. That kind of goes back to supporting me on locals if you are able to do that, because nothing is monetized. This is all my free time. I do have a day job that I've got to get to going back to here soon, and getting some signs made. That's one of my signs, by the way. It says, "Put on the full armor of God." It's a good reminder right now. But anyhow, I've got to make some money to help support my family and everything. So I can only give so much time to this, and I don't have time to do 2 hour drive down to Los Angeles, spend a couple hours there watching stuff, and then 2 hours coming back, and then get everything else done. So if you're a Republican in Los Angeles County, please go down to where they're counting all of these, and you are allowed to be there. So long as you are not disrupting the operations, you are allowed to be there. Be civil, take notes. You can ask questions. I'll tell you what my experience is when I go to Bakersfield, so that may be able to help. But I guarantee you they're going to be counting for a while, because they have until next Tuesday to accept for receiving all the ballots. So a ballot that was mailed today, if the post office is doing their job, should be received by tomorrow, or today or tomorrow. But they have all the way up until next Tuesday for it to arrive. Just as long as it was postmarked by yesterday, it would still be counted. So take some time, go over to where they're counting and see what's going on, okay? Because if we don't have oversight, we really can't complain that this is being taken from us, because we're not fighting for it. And by fighting, I mean being there and observing and letting them know that we were watching them and we were going to hold them accountable. So anyhow, I appreciate that I'm rambling again here, so I'm going to turn it off here. But thank you again for watching. For those of you that have stuck with me on this, I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing about the California election. I'm going to try and do some other news as well, which is why I was talking about Milley earlier. That is definitely important. But anyhow, God bless. God is in control. And he will work all things for the good of those who love and trust in the Lord, okay? So it'll be all right. Talk to you later. God bless. Bye.